Isoxazolines, which is the fancy name for the class of drugs which you probably know more commonly as Simparica, Bravecto, NexGard, or any other trade names, are currently one of the most debated classes of medications today. And we're going to be breaking down as to what they are, how they work, and whether your pet should be using them or not. Welcome to the Practical Pet Parenting Podcast, where science and research meets simplicity, practicality, and humor. Because we all know that pet parenting isn't just one thing. It's magical, beautiful, life-changing, frustrating, and overwhelming all at the same time. I'm Dr. Ashita Suresh, a vet, a mom, a dog mom, on the multiple species pet parenting journey just like so many of you. Join me as we cut through the noise, fear, and fluff and take pet parenting from overwhelming to, well, barely manageable. So, first of all, what are these drugs? Isoxazolines are the class of drugs behind the oral flea and tick preventatives for dogs, commonly known as NexGard, Simparica, Bravecto, and a few others. Once taken orally, they are absorbed into the bloodstream. So, when a flea or tick or any other parasite bites your pet, it takes in the drug along with the blood, and the drug basically enters the parasite's nervous system, paralyzes it, and kills it. So, the next question would be, why are they so popular? Simply because they are effective. Fleas and ticks basically start falling off as early as about 45 minutes to an hour after a dose. These drugs also provide sustained protection for 1 to 3 months depending on the product. And thanks to this, they are among the most reliable tools we have against especially very heavy parasite infestations today. So, what is the controversy? Now, the controversy around these drugs can basically be divided into two parts. One is the hypothetical concern and the actual evidence of the matter. The concern is basically around the idea that these are chemicals and we're putting them into our pets' bloodstreams for such prolonged amounts of time. This often comes from and also often leads to the naturalist safer stance, or on the flip side, that long acting medications, they must be inherently harmful. They just because they are effective, that means they definitely have some side effect or they definitely have some issue in them, despite the numerous safety studies that these drugs have gone through before reaching the market. So let's see what the actual evidence said. Now, like I said, isoxazolines have undergone extensive safety and efficacy testing before approval. But still, however, they are not magic, and more importantly, they are not risk free. They are drugs, and adverse effects, particularly neurological signs like tremors or seizures, have been reported. That is the truth, especially in pets with any pre existing conditions, any sort of medical conditions, or any sensitivities to this class of drugs. So, bottom line, what should you do? Should you use these? Should you not use these? What is the right decision for your pet? Now, just like any other drug, it's not going to suit all pets. So, based on my experience, my personal recommendations to all my pet parents are as follows. Unless your vet has otherwise indicated it, they are best used in adult pets. Do not use them in very young puppies and kittens. Second, they are best avoided if your pet has any sort of ongoing medical conditions, especially those of the liver, kidneys, or nervous system. You're better off using a topical instead at this point. Third, use based on severity. If topicals will work and they are enough for your dog, go for those before reaching for the oral medications. Next, use based on exposure. A dog who is constantly indoors with very little exposure to tick infested dogs or areas may not need that level of protection, while topicals with spot ons and shampoos may work just fine. Lastly, remember your pet's quirks. You might not have a choice if they're not going to allow you to put anything on their skin. On the other hand, no matter the exposure, no matter this, if they are not going to eat any medications, if they're too clever for medications, again, you don't have choice. Always remember to take your pet's personality and their habits into consideration before picking up any medication. Unfortunately, the fact remains that even with all of these drugs available, too many pets are being affected with tick fever, allergies, or flea bite anemia. This just goes to show how significant the problem of parasite burden still is even in 2026. Ultimately, have a discussion with your vet about your individual pet and see what's right for you and them. Thank you so much for listening to the Practical Pet Parenting Podcast. If you found this helpful, don't forget to follow, rate, or review. Whatever your podcasting app allows you to do it. You can also find me on Instagram at Indian Pet Vet and read more at practicalpetparenting.com. Much love to you and your pets, and see you next week.